Lindsey Graham is back to kissing up to Donald Trump after Trump gave him the smackdown following Lindsey Graham's comments in regard to the January 6th Capitol riots, which means, yes, he's taken yet another ride on the beta bus.
Beta! You are beta male.
Now remember, Trump went from saying complimentary things about Lindsey Graham to calling him a rhino, Republican in name only, because Graham condemned the Capitol rioters. Well, Graham was asked about that when he was interviewed by George Stephanopoulos. Let's hear what he had to say.
So where do things stand with you and President Trump right now? Do you support his comeback in 2024?
So number one is his nomination for the taking in 2024 if he wants. If he wants to be the Republican nominee for the Republican Party, it's his for the taking. Donald Trump is the most consequential Republican in the Republican Party today. He has a great chance of being president again in 2024 if he'll start comparing what he did as president versus what's going on now and how to fix the mess we're in. If he looks backward, I think he's hurting his chances.
He also referred to Trump as dominant later in the interview, Cenk, and we'll get to that video in just a minute. But I have too much pride, I think, to be a politician who would last long enough. I feel like if I ever was elected into office, if I had to lie or suck up to certain people in order to keep my position of power, I couldn't do it. Like, that's humiliating. Trump smacks him down and he goes on national television to kiss up to Trump again because he's terrified. He's so scared.
Yeah, it's among the reasons why people hate politicians. And I mean, but Lindsey Graham is a special breed. I mean, he's the mother of all cucks, right?
Oh God.
And so Moak, and he makes Ted Cruz look like a man. Okay, that's how much of a cuck he is.
Should we start that, Moak?
Moak, yeah, sure. Hashtag Moak for Lindsey Graham.
I like that.
So, I mean, of course, there was the great moment where Trump called Ted Cruz's wife ugly and called his dad a murderer, and then Ted Cruz kissed his ass anyway. I mean, it's just wonderfully groveling and pathetic. But Lindsey Graham does this so consistent. He's like the Wade Boggs of ass kissers. He just keep hitting single after single after. He gets up there and he's like, Trump's the best. Trump's left cheek is the greatest thing on earth. Wrong, Trump's right cheek is the best thing on earth. I'll kiss both, I'll kiss it right in the middle, whatever it takes, right? And Lindsey's there, and what's like, Trump is probably like having a game of Pong in his mind with Lindsey Graham, where he's like, okay, let me see if I can shake him off and get it past the goalie here. Okay, Lindsey, I will shellac you in this, and this way. Graham comes out and goes, nope, I'll match it.
Yeah.
I still love you. You still dominate me. I want you to dominate me, right? Okay, so you can't say, Trump could not say anything bad enough about Lindsey Graham. Remember, he doxed them when they were running together.
Yep. I do remember that. And it was because Lindsey Graham during the Republican primary was very critical of Trump. But once Trump was in the position of power, right? Lindsey Graham was very transparent about why he was sucking up to him, even despite Trump's attacks toward his best friend, the now late Senator John McCain. And I remember the New York Times had interviewed Lindsey Graham about that. Like, how do you reconcile all of this? Like, how is it that you're so friendly with Trump now, even as he's attacking your good friend, even as you had all these like negative things to say about him during the Republican primary? And he was transparent. He said that he wants to remain relevant. So this is all about groveling to the worst people in order to remain politically relevant, to maintain his position of power as a United States senator. Now, without further ado, we should get to that dominant statement in the context of this George Stephanopoulos interview as well. Let's watch.
He continues to lie about the 2020 election. A couple weeks ago, he talked about pardoning the January 6 rioters. He called you a rhino, Republican in name only, because you disagreed with that. There's no evidence that the president is going to change.
Well, here's my statement about the president's situation right now. He's the most dominant figure in the Republican Party. I think any Republican leader in the House or the Senate has to have a working relationship with President Trump, because most Republicans like President Trump's policies. A lot of us wish he would look forward, not backward, but he's very popular because he stands up to all the things that most Republicans believe need to be stood up to.
I mean, so look, he's being transparent there as well, right? It's him groveling to Trump after Trump smacked him down because he still views Trump as really the most important, most relevant, and most powerful figure in Republican politics. But he might be miscalculating. And I don't know for sure yet, right? We'll see how things play out. But there has been this CNN poll that I thought was fascinating, and it asked Republican voters, it tried to see where their temperature's at in regard to Trump, and they found this, that exactly 50% of Republican and Republican-leaning voters want to see Trump take another crack at the Oval Office in 2024. 50% is not much. I mean, that is significantly lower compared to what Republican voters were feeling immediately after his term.
Yeah, that's all true. And by the way, the minute that Trump loses his power, Lindsey Graham will turn on him.
Right.
Of course, right? And then whoever's the new person in power, all of a sudden Lindsey Graham will be their top advocate and best friend. And I mean, he is really the prototypical politician. And so there's no end to his depravity. What's also amazing is the media's reaction, right? So here, Stephanopoulos is asking a good follow-up question, so there's nothing wrong with this interview. But as a reporter, whether it's Stephanopoulos or in any other context, shouldn't you follow up and say, no, Senator, you might be misunderstanding what I'm saying. President Trump deeply insulted you and said you're not even a Republican, which you've said, obviously that you are for decades now. That's what you're known for. And he says you're so inauthentic that he doesn't even think you're what you say you are. And now you just said that he was the most dominant figure in Republican politics, and you seem to be looking up to him. Help me understand that disconnect. So that's a polite way of saying it, right? But there's a lot of different ways to ask that obvious question. So why does no reporter ever ask him that? Because then they might lose access, because that's such an embarrassing thing to ask Lindsey Graham. And the reason why it's so embarrassing is because it's obviously true. Right? I mean, how could no national reporter have already asked Ted Cruz, he called your wife ugly, and now you're complimenting him to no end?
Well, Chris Cuomo did.
And that's true. That's fair enough.
That was a pretty good moment.
Yeah, and now of course he's off the air, right? But and for ostensibly a different reason. So, all right. Bottom line is, you guys all know Lindsey Graham, and you know he's going to do this, whether it's McCain, whether it's Lieberman, whether it's Trump, whoever the flavor du jour is, he's going to find them very dominant in his own mind and go in that direction. And I just wish that our reporters would notice how craven politicians are, instead of constantly complimenting them and pretending that they have real ideas and principles, which they most certainly don't.
Yeah, a lot of these reporters are craven themselves, and they suck up to people in positions of power to remain relevant in their own professions. So maybe that's why they're unwilling to either see it or call it out.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.